how did you see your career turning to improving, and how do you see your music in the last 12 years to from Graffiti to this new single to this new EP?
I think
Makes sense.
I think a lot of it, yeah, it makes sense. A lot of like music is such a self-discovery, you know. I started off in the gay clubs, and the music that I made it started off dance pop, called my gay pop, you know, and that was how I started. And then once the label imploded, I was like, let me go back to the beginning of my journey. And then I've since been catching up to my life. So I started off listening to Babyface and Boyz II Men, and New Edition and 112 and all of these records when I was, 9 or 10 years old. So I'm like, well, let me go back to what first my understanding of music was. Harmonies, like that. Let me just go back to that. And then from then I was able to then do, right after that, I mean, during that time of promoting that, that's when the Prince call came. And he was like, well, let's, tour. And I'm like, you're doing funk right now. Like, that's not going to make sense with what I'm doing. So let's just start working on the funk record. And so he was the one that introduced me to funk and to like Larry Graham and Sly and the Family Stone and all of these records that I had never heard of before. And Giorgio Moroder, right? So it went from like funk into like disco. Right. So I started to kind of like understand even, through like guitar licks and the different strumming and even like the Stevie Nicks and like this kind of like, I'm going through like these eras in music and discovering them parallel to my life. And then after that, I wanted to do something that right after that, during that time, I would say that's like 2016, I lost Prince and I couldn't.
We all lost him. Yeah.
We all lost him, and I was in a dark place. Still am. And that's when Toro Gato was born, out of this kind of like, let me go back even before 90s R&B, when I was like, I would run around with David Blaine, the magician? Do you know the magician?
Yeah.
And he would ask me like for like beats and stuff. And we were like, friends when I was like 19. And so I would make these like weird beats that would make sense for his magic shows or his specials, just to do it, because he was the only person that thought that I could do it. So I went back to those records like way before, and I brought them back because they carried that, all that kind of the Massive Attack, the Portishead vibe, and brought that. And then after I discovered that, and I was getting through this kind of really dark place where I was over this Cat Graham identity of having to be this like teen pop person or this label person, like the one person that really saw me and believed that I could be an independent artist, and myself was gone. So the idea, I had to shed my even understanding of myself. And then after that, I started to be like, okay, well, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what do I want to do in music? Like, who am I? What do I care about? And I'm like, why? I care about human rights. And so I went back and did this Long Hot Summer album, which was all very like, it was a partnership with GLAAD. And then after that, I was like, well, let me sit back. It was like, I think all those records kind of came out like 2021, 2020. And then I looked at the state of the world and I was just like, well, if I don't have anything to say, and if I'm dealing with like the loss, because then at that after Prince, I lost my brother who was shot. Like the world was imploding. Like it was just crazy. My mom was getting sick. And then I was like, let me write a song about what I'm going through. And then the lyrics of the Broken Hearts Club is, my mama taught me how to walk alone, right? Because I lost her. You know, my daddy taught me how to let you go because he was really not really in my life, even though I'd like to say that I spent a lot of time. I mean, he's fluent in Portuguese, so it would have been perfect for him to be with me. But, you know, sometimes our parents, it doesn't work out. And then my brother taught me that no matter what, you're all you've got in the end, because he was really by himself at the end of his life. And putting the truth into music was the key for me. And that's what this new record is. And then dealing with the inner war and the conflict and the heartbreak and the losses in a way that the world can even dance to was like, okay. And then after that, it's my peace album, the activists and the local artists and like bringing the world together. And then maybe after that I'll retire.